Amen. Would y'all welcome Coach Kennedy?
All right, well, good morning, friends. So we're still hanging out in Psalm 119, but we're moving on to the next verse this week, verse 12. So it says, Lord, may you be blessed. Teach me your statutes. We're going to hang out right there in that word today, teach. Teach me your statutes. So anytime there's a teaching situation, right, we know that well. We're here at school, so that's where that happens a lot. There are a few key players. Let's see if we can identify our key players in this verse. So we've got a teacher, right? Anytime there's a situation like this, we've got a teacher, and we've got student or students. So, Lord, teach me your statutes. So right here, the psalmist is identifying the teacher as, who do you think? Who do you think our ultimate teacher is? Who do you think? God, right. So he says, teach me your statutes. So he's asking God to be his teacher. So if we go to the other one, we had students. Who do you think the students are in this verse? John, who do you think the students are? Me, you, right? All of us, you and me. So those are our key players. The teacher, God, and the students, you, me, each and every one of you, everyone in this room. So in order to really understand this verse, we're going to ask ourselves a question. We're going to find out today, am I ready to learn from the Lord? Am I teachable? Because you can have the best teacher, but if we don't have a heart or a spirit or a posture that's ready to learn, we're not going to learn a thing. So these are the things we're going to ask ourselves. This morning, I only asked the littler guys to remember 5 things. You guys are a little bigger. I think you might be able to do a little bit more. So we're going to remember 8 different things throughout the day, throughout our lives, to help us realize, are we teachable? Are we ready to learn from the Lord? So the first one, we're going to ask ourselves this. Do I admit when I am wrong? So close your eyes for me, really tight. Everyone in the room. I even asked Mr. Pouch to close his eyes this morning. Close your eyes really tight, okay? I want you to, with your eyes closed, I want you to raise your hand if you feel like you maybe did anything wrong this morning already. I realize it's only 8:30. Some of us have only been up for 2 hours. Raise your hand if you have done something wrong this morning. Think back to yesterday. If your hand isn't already up, with your eyes closed, think, did I do anything wrong yesterday? Did I do something wrong to someone else? Did I do something to sin against God? Keep your hand up. Maybe not today, maybe not yesterday, but I bet with our eyes closed, we can think of some time this week, we're already to Thursday, that we've done something wrong. Okay, put your hand down. And now open your eyes. So I asked you to do that with your eyes closed because it is hard to admit when we're wrong. Even when we're little bitty, even when we're seasoned, I like to say, it's hard to admit when we're wrong, right? We like to be right. We like to do the right things. That pleases our parents, pleases our friends, pleases our coworkers, our husbands. We like to do the right thing, but sometimes we do the wrong thing. If we don't admit when we're wrong, we're never going to learn from those mistakes. So we talked about we're in Psalm 119. If you guys didn't know, Psalm 119 is the longest chapter in the Bible. Of all the books, with all the chapters, it's the longest. It actually has 176 verses. So Psalm 119 is longer than the book of James, I think. Like, it is super long. So we're going to help us ask ourselves these questions by finding answers straight in Psalm 119, because there's just so much there. So Psalm 119:29, so a little bit further down, says, put false ways far from me and graciously teach me your law. So even though it's hard to admit when we're wrong, in Psalm it asks us, ask for correction, right? Admit to the Lord when you're wrong. That's the only way we are going to learn from those mistakes through him. So that's one thing we need to ask ourselves. The next thing, do I know I have lots to learn? Raise your hand if you think, I know everything there ever is to know. I'm done. I've reached my prime. Beautiful. I'm glad there's no hands. I had to do some quick math, and I was really wrong. For the first group, I said if I was still in school, I'd probably be in 30th grade. I'm older than I thought. If I was still in school, I'd be in 35th grade this year. But our school ends. It comes to an end at some point. Either you graduate high school or you keep going and graduate college. Maybe you get your doctorate. But at some point, our formal school ends. But you know what never ends? Learning from the Lord, right? We're going to learn and learn and learn. But if we think, nope, I know it all. I've read this book once. I've learned everything there is to know. We're not going to learn anything else from it. So we need to realize we have lots to learn. So further down, Psalm 119:73, we're about halfway through that book. Bless you, sweet girl, says, your hands have made and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments. So right there, the Lord is shown as our creator. He has created everything. He is all-knowing. So we are going to continue to learn from him from the time we're itty-bitty till we're my age, till we're as old as the Lord has us here on the earth. So do I know that I have lots to learn? Make sure we ask ourselves that question. Do I believe God can change me? That's our third thing. If we didn't think learning from God was going to make a difference in our lives, do you think we would really devote time to learning from him? Probably not. We'd be like, well, it's not worth it. But we all know, right? We have all been changed. Miss Walker just said, if there's anyone here that does not know you, have them come to know the Lord. When we know the Lord and we spend time in his word, we are changed. We are changed people. So here it says, teach me, O Lord, the way of your statutes, and I will keep them until the end. So that the Lord can teach us, it will change us, and we will be that way from then on. So yes, the Lord can change us. But we have to believe what? That we can be changed. So those are the first three things. Let's see what's next. Do I know how much my teacher loves me? So I want you to look down to the end of the row. At the end of your row, you have a teacher. I want you to give me a little head nod if you know how much that teacher at the end of your row loves you. I see lots of head nods. So if we realize how much our classroom teachers love us and our specials teachers love us, let's hear what Psalm 119:64 says. It says, the earth, O Lord, is full of your steadfast love. Teach me your statutes. Full of your steadfast love. Do I believe that God's love is written all over his creation? That's another head nod. So if we believe that the Lord loves us so much, we should know that he is full of things to teach us and be ready to learn from that. I think it's kind of cool, though, that the Lord puts people in our lives that can teach us, right? We can go to this. Miss Walker said that we go to this any time we need to learn something. But the Lord also puts people in our paths. It may be a classroom teacher. It may be a Sunday school teacher, a youth teacher as you get older, a youth counselor or director that will teach you the Lord's statutes from things that they have learned. That's how much the Lord loves us, that he puts those people in our lives so that they can teach us as well. So that was the fourth thing. So we're about halfway there. Let's see what else. Do I trust the goodness of my teacher? Bless you. So do I trust that my teacher is good? One of my favorite songs is Good, Good Father. So if we know that, right, it should be a little easier to learn from him. So Psalm 119:68, we're making our way further through Psalm 119, says, you are good and do good. Teach me your statutes. There's that repetitive, teach me your statutes. You love me, teach me your statutes. You are good, teach me your statutes. If you've ever played a sport, they usually find a coach that is good at what they do to coach you, right? That makes it a little bit easier. If I had never coached swimming before, I would hope the school would not ask me to coach swimming, right? I would have no idea what I was doing. I'm not really good at that. We ask people or we trust people to teach us who are good at what they know. The Lord is a good, good Father, and from that, we can learn so much. Let's see, what else should we ask ourselves? Do I believe that my teacher is the best? So again, we looked down those rows. We have amazing teachers. If you're in the 6th grade, you can look all the way up here, and you've had teachers that are still in this room, that are still teaching here, that we feel are the best. But who is the best teacher of them all? God, Jesus, right? That is the best teacher. So do I believe that my teacher is the best? So further down Psalm 119, I have more understanding than all my teachers. Your testimonies are my meditations. So we have to believe that God is not only one of the best, but the best teachers out there. All right, 2 more. Let's see what we have. Some of these are my favorite, these last ones. Do I ask my teacher questions? I hear some, yes. I asked you to give a little head nod if you knew your teacher loved you, right? If I ask the teachers to give a little head nod if they're asked questions throughout the day, I bet we would see some head nods too, right? We do ask questions. Sometimes, though, we're like a little shy. We're like, I don't want to raise my hand in front of the class. This question may not be the right question to ask right now. But if we don't ask questions, we're never going to learn. So Psalm 119 tells us just that. The Lord can take all of our questions, even the really tough questions. Not like a, hey, can I use the restroom? Or do we have art today? I'm talking about like the tough, big questions. I think Psalm 119:82 talks about, when will you comfort me? So the psalmist was obviously not in a great place, and he said, when will you comfort me? And the Lord answered, right? He can take our hard questions. So we've got to ask him, or we're never going to learn. Lastly, we've got one more. Remember I said 8. Am I ready and willing to pass the test? So my sweet Hudson said, if you're going to call on someone today, call on me. So Hudson, here's your question. Do you love to take tests? No. We had a quick head nod. Quick response. No. This morning when I asked who in here likes to take a test, like the 2nd graders all raised their hands. I see a few hand raises, but I would say, on the whole, no one is like, woohoo, we have a spelling test today. Or I just can't wait for that history test, right? Tests are hard. Tests are Tests are usually not our favorite part of the week. But you know what? The Lord over and over and over again puts us in situations where he tests us, where he says, all right, I'm going to put you in this situation, this scenario, and I'm going to see you play out what I have taught you. So we've got to be ready and willing to take those tests, right? We learned last year about being slow to anger and quick to listen. Miss James asked you all that last week, and you knew that verse, right? So that's in our head. I bet you can think of a situation even this morning where you had to be slow to anger, right? Those are the tests that we should be prepared to take. So in order to learn from God, from that first question that we asked, am I ready to learn? We can make sure that our hearts, our spirits, our postures are in all of these ways. Because, gosh, he has so much to teach us. We talked about that when we did our pledge to the Bible, right? We said, hide this in my heart that I might not sin against God. So teach me through this so I might not sin against you, Lord. So make sure that all we do, we are reminding ourselves, Lord, may you be blessed. Just as we bless our teachers when we make good grades on our tests, because it means, hey, they taught us what we needed to do. Teach me your statutes. Give us those tests, Lord, so that we can show you how much you have taught us. So we're going to pray before we go, and we're going to ask the Lord to do all of those things to our hearts. That way, if we ask him today, when we are in those situations to learn, we might remember them. So bow your heads with me. Close your eyes, and we are going to ask this of ourselves for the Lord. Lord, thank you for this morning. Lord, thank you for the ability to come to a school that not only lets us go to chapel, but Lord, prioritizes this time each week. Lord, that has memory verses so we can fill our hearts with your word, with your statutes, with your laws, with your decrees, with your commandments, so that you can teach us day in and day out. Lord, help us admit when we are wrong. Lord, through our mistakes, you teach us. Lord, let us remember that we have so much to learn and that you are there and eager and ready to teach us. Lord, let us know that our hearts and our spirits can be changed through you and only you. Teach us that through salvation we are yours. Lord, we know how much you love us. When we go throughout our day, Lord, remind us of your love, and through that love, your desire to teach us. Lord, you are a good Father. And with that comes your desire to let us know you more and to spend time in your word. Lord, let us remember that you put people in our lives, our classroom teachers, our specials teachers, our Sunday school teachers, to help us learn more about you, but to rely on you, as Ms. Walker said, that your word is the one true way to know everything that there is about you and your world. Lord, I ask that you give us a spirit of asking questions, that we're never afraid or scared or embarrassed to ask you those tough questions. And Lord, that you remind us that there's people in our lives that you have placed right here, right now, that we can go to, that can point us to you in those situations and teach us as well. Lord, lastly, I pray that you put us in a situation today that may test us. Lord, sit us next to someone in class or put us in a situation on the playground that may offer some sort of test. Lord, I pray that at that moment, we think back on all you have taught us and that we act in a way that blesses you. Lord, I thank you for your ability to speak through us and to us. Lord, you are a good Father and the best teacher. You love us, and we love you. And all God's children said, Amen.